The morning clung to SlumG like the leftover film of sweat on his skin. City noise seeping through the thin windows as he hunched over his battered black bag, every movement deliberate and slow. Outside, Mumbai's wakefulness pulsed. Horns, distant cries, a wheezing auto's engine, all blending into a rhythm that pressed against the small hotel room's walls. As he dug for a charger that seemed to slip from his grasp each time, he caught a chill crawling along his spine, a draft colder than monsoon air, like someone exhaled through the room before vanishing. He paused, glancing at the half-open wardrobe, uncertain whether it was a trick of exhaustion or something more. The other bed creaked as his friend shifted, and for a moment it felt as if the city itself was holding its breath, waiting for SlumG to rise and step out into a day that promised not just more chaos, but maybe, if he paid attention, an answer to the strange hunger beneath his routine, the urge to connect, to find a sign that he wasn't crossing these crowded streets alone. The world outside snapped into focus as SlumG wrestled with cables and battered tech, the city's pulse thrumming through every shuttered window and down every cracked lane. He stepped into Mumbai's glare, and the stream blinked awake, first as an unfocused smear of light and shadow, then as a rush of movement. Helmet buckled, scooter wheels nudging through the morning heat, Chat's familiar banter seeping through the static like a chorus of invisible guides. Each technical hiccup, audio drop, video stutter, seemed to snag on something unseen. SlumG felt phantom fingers brush his shoulder when Holtzfinger's tech advice landed just as his mic began to wheeze. Or when new LMI's warning, "Don't look at chat, watch the road," echoed in his helmet before a pothole lurched out of the blur. Vendors' faces flickered at the city's edge. Danthaman, 594's extra chili burned brighter than it should, the scent curling up with the exhaust as if daring him to notice, while Norski Sie slipped him a cup of chai with a note tucked beneath. Steam bends, not just for tea. That left his skin prickling. Mumbai pressed its secrets close, and SlumG, buoyed and battered by Chat's quirks and the city's rumbling momentum, drifted forward, the boundary between digital ritual and urban haunting growing thinner with every kilometer. It started with a stutter, just a hiccup in the video, one pixelated blink as SlumG's scooter nosed through the dusk, and Chat peppered him with laggy bro, and a volley of Fs. The ritual digital offering that always followed dropped frames. But something about tonight's glitches was different. Audio warped, slicing in as if another frequency was bleeding through. And the chat spam felt less like trolling, more like a warding chant against unseen interference. Every time SlumG reached for a cable or checked the mic, the city seemed to pause. A neon sign flickered in sync with Holtzfinger's muttered advice. And when SlumG's stream flickered back to life, the crowd at the petrol pump had shifted, faces momentarily strange. Danthaman 594's grin stretching too wide as he pressed a chili into SlumG's palm, whispering, "Careful. Spirits run in the wires at night." Even the buttermilk from Pandaville 87's stall tasted off. Cool and sharp, with a tang of ozone that lingered on his tongue like static. As the Fs in Chat crescendoed, a sense crept in that Mumbai's chaos wasn't all mechanical. Something old and restless was riding the signal, making the mundane buzz with the threat of ghostly mischief. And SlumG, for the first time all day, felt the city watching him back. The city's pulse synchronized with Chat's feverish chanting, emotes flashing, subs raining down, the digital crowd molding Mumbai's air like unseen hands kneading dough. As the wheel spun, SlumG felt static lace his skin, the streetlights momentarily shuddering in time with the rising hype. Vendors paused mid-transaction. Danthaman 594's extra chili burned hot in his pocket, and Pandaville 87's stall materialized as if conjured by collective will, a glass of buttermilk beading with condensation under the city's gaze. When he raised the glass, the air crackled with anticipation. Chat's humor sharpening to a ritual edge, their challenge transformed from meme to incantation. The buttermilk slipped down his throat, sour and electric, and something in the city shifted. A chill cutting through the humid night, the honking traffic momentarily muted, as if Mumbai itself was holding its breath to see if SlumG would survive the rite they'd summoned together. Mumbai's night deepened, the air thick with exhaust and the spice of frying onions. But something else pressed in. An invisible current rippling through the jammed traffic and neon glare. SlumG's scooter rolled to a stop near a row of vendors. The hum of the city momentarily stilled as Norskikse caught his gaze from the chai stall, slipping a folded paper beneath SlumG's saucer. A note inked with looping Marathi and a crescent of steam curling over it, as if carrying a warning only the initiated could read. From the reflection in a passing bus window, Hub's 89's lipstick mark ghosted the camera lens, heart-shaped and pulsing faintly. A challenge to look twice at his own flickering image. Down the road, Holtzfinger crouched by a sputtering vending cart, muttering to the metal while his wrench kept time with Chat's digital taunts. And as SlumG drew near, Panda Veal 87's laughter broke the spell. His buttermilk already poured, the glass sweating in his outstretched hand. Around him, each familiar figure offered not just sustenance or a knowing wink, but a coded message. A chili that burned with a hint of omen, a sly tip about bridge ghosts in the Wi-Fi dead zones, a lipstick stain that shimmered in every reflective surface, long after the traffic rolled on. In this labyrinth, every mundane exchange became a thread in a web of urban spirits, the city's unseen waiting for SlumG to decipher the next sign beneath the noise. By the time SlumG finally stumbled into his hotel room, the city's din had hollowed into an eerie late-night hush, every stray honk and digital F echoing in his bones. The room felt less like sanctuary, more like an antechamber between worlds. Neon from the street flickered against the cream walls, while the mirror above the bed caught ghostly lipstick smudges, Hub's 89's trickster signature, reappearing no matter how many times he wiped the glass. As he unpacked, Lethal Dapper at the night desk slid his key across the counter, scribbling another of those odd symbols on the guest ledger and muttering a half-warning about shadows that shuffle when the power blinks. SlumG's exhaustion made the rituals of Chat, kiss the camera, bucket underwear, feel less like jokes and more like instructions from something just beyond the screen, aligning him with the city's unseen current. Even the hum of charging cables sounded like whispered incantations. Outside, a faint aroma of cardamom drifted in through the cracked window. A final sign that Mumbai's urban spirits were not done with him yet. Each mundane gesture now a negotiation with the liminal, and sleep a concession to forces he could only hope were friendly. Night pressed against the hotel window, the sounds of Mumbai now distant. Yet SlumG could feel the city's pulse thrumming through every wire and wall. As he repacked tangled cables and sorted his battered gear, a series of faint, rhythmic knocks echoed from behind the air conditioner, too deliberate to be mere pipes. Flickers of light chased across the cream curtains, briefly scattering an array of shifting shadows that seemed to pause, watching, before dissolving into the neon haze. On the mirror, the stubborn lipstick mark glimmered anew, this time ringed by a second smaller print, as if Hub's 89's mischievous spirit had been joined by a companion. Even the Chat's last digital F seemed to linger in the air, mingling with the subtle scent of cardamom and the memory of Dantaman. 94's chilly, as SlumG sat cross-legged and weary, realizing he'd become a vessel, marked and haunted, but also initiated. His pulse now tuned to the restless, unseen rhythms that stitched the city's spirits and his own together. SlumG sat cross-legged on the bed, city light leaking in soft and distant through the curtains, his hands pressed together in a gesture of gratitude. A ritual now as binding as any incantation. The hum of the air conditioner mingled with the faint pulse of Mumbai outside. But inside the room, all was held in a waiting hush. He thanked his companions, their voices now a spectral chorus. Danthaman. 594's blessing disguised as chilly heat. Hub's 89's lipstick mark still glimmering faintly on the mirror. Norski's cryptic note folded into a pocket. Lethal Diapa's careful symbols hidden under the night desk. For a heartbeat, a digital notification chimed, too resonant and insistent, as though the city itself was acknowledging the end of their shared right. Alone at last, SlumG lay back, a subtle scent of cardamom thickening the air. The threshold between worlds thinned to a gossamer veil, and as sleep crept in, he glimpsed a flicker at the edge of the mirror, a silhouette waving or perhaps beckoning, before dissolving back into Mumbai's restless dream.